is sort of a primer video to my what I think will be usual um, sort of vlogging videos or video diary sort of thing. Um, this one specifically is to address the question of why hike, why do the PCT, why walk 2,650 miles if you hit the border, 60 miles if you go all the way to Canada. Um, I get that question a lot. Why? Why do it? What's the point? Um, so here's my quick take as far as that question is concerned. I think it's definitely different for every person out there. I think you're going to get a different answer if you want about it. I think I've got a few different reasons. I think none of them have priority or the other. It's not like 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'll just talk about them one at a time. Hopefully I remember them all. I didn't write it down. Probably should have. The first reason that comes to mind when people ask, what's the point? Well, I have a tendency to think about the great things I've done with my life, like the happy things I've done with my life. When I'm on the trail, I tend to do this thing I call membering, like remembering. So what I'm doing is thinking about the happy times that I've had and throughout my life, and the really great times, some of the really great experiences I've had throughout my life. Some of the greater things has been when I was younger, in my teens. I worked for a 1880s wagon train that used to travel around in the Black Hills of South Dakota. And that was a formative experience. It was so great to be out there in the summers and doing that, riding behind a wagon train and just being a part of a community like that. The PCT mimics that community, I think, a little bit. I haven't fully developed my sense of community here on the PCT. It's only been 4 days. So, but the point is, the great things you do in life, the really big things, like what can you look back and tell stories about that significantly impacted you, or maybe even impacted other people. That's probably the true pinnacle of really great experiences, is when they not only impact you, they impact other people. People ask, what's the point? Well, what's the greatest thing you've ever done? That's my response to that question. What's the greatest thing you've ever done? Tell me about that experience. This is one of the greatest things I'll ever do. In my mind. That's my personal opinion. And so it means a lot to me, because it's a big deal. It's just so many miles across the entirety of America. Not the entirety, the west side of it. California, Oregon, and Washington. It's this is kind of the next thing. The thing I'm about to talk about is the next reason. This walk is how I really wanted to experience America. I want to be able to walk through it and see it, breathe it, just be a part of the land, and look around and see all the animals and the different types of life that exists in America. When I look back after years, I'll be able to know that I have experienced a good portion of America just by walking across it. That's a huge reason. That's a huge reason for me. Another big reason is, well, I used to work for SpaceX, and After, at the end of my 5 years working for SpaceX, I had quite a bit of trouble with stress, working out stress, how to deal with stress, working stress, and it compounded my post-traumatic stress disorder quite a bit, to the point where I just wasn't able to work in a normal working environment anymore. And that started this kind of downhill slide of me just kind of saying, well, because of my PTSD, I'm not going to be able to do that anymore. Because of the PTSD, I just can't do this anymore. The last few years have been that story. So many things have been what I can't do because of the PTSD. And a lot of those things are legitimate. Some of them are mental barriers, but I'm willing to admit that. But there's also it's compound PTSD. It's not just PTSD. It's compound. It's a number of traumas stacked on top of each other that cause a number of things, including now panic attacks. I can have panic attacks that cause when you're in one, it feels like a heart attack, but you're just breathing so fast you can't slow it down, and it's scary the first time, but every time you get into one, it's not any more fun. Anyway, reasons for doing this. This is one of the first things I've said to myself, despite my PTSD. Hiking this trail, this is something I can do. It's a great thing. It's a big thing, but it's something I can do. And I want to do it. Another one that came to mind was, of course, the very simple reason to get physically fit. And for me, that's just getting rid of the extra pounds that I have, because the stomach weight really pulls, like I said, it in the first video, it pulls on my spine, and it kind of pulls it out of whack, and there's a lot of back pain that results because of that. So I really like to lose a lot of the weight off my front side. I'd like to build up my muscle strength and get some of the, because my muscles have really, basically they've atrophied, in the last 4 or 5 years since I turned 40. I started gaming a lot more, and a lot more sitting in my recliner, and that is not good for muscle gain. I think strengthening, especially the core, and losing that front weight is going to really help my back. I think it's going to be less back pain, and I think I'm just going to feel better all the way around. So that's a huge reason. You can't help but lose weight on the PCT. I think there may be the occasional exception to that, but I have been watching my Fitbit, and I am daily doing 6,000 calorie burns, and there's just no way I can eat that much in a day. So there is going to be weight loss and muscle gain. It's fun just to be hiking and walking. I've already noticed that I can do better mileage just within a week, and it's nice to know that it picks up that fast, that you can start doing more miles within 1 week, and then the next week should be even better. So I'm looking forward to that. The other one, I have told people this before, that the other reason I'm out here is because one of the most spiritual experiences I've ever had in my life was, camping in general, but backpacking out into the wilderness, especially like the Wyoming Red Cloud Wilderness and Montana Wilderness, Colorado Wilderness. I mean, those were my beginnings in hiking and backpacking, and that, if anything, is as close to is as close as I have ever gotten to what I think you could describe as God or the universe, or however you might conceive of some overarching being. And spirituality to me is, I think people kind of think of spirituality as sometimes like yoga and crystals and shit, and that's, I mean, I haven't lost the idea that there's something greater out there, and I think you connect to that greatness when you're out here, because nature does flybys like that hummingbird, or just sitting here in the dirt and experiencing the plants around you, and looking at all the different flowers, and just the different colors that pop out at you. It's an experience. It's little tiny bits of happiness that happen all the time here on the PCT. And that's another reason. It's a deeply spiritual experience that I really wanted to have. So, another reason. That I think you combine that with the other reasons. I mean, it's a full immersion, just life. I want to say life experience, but it doesn't seem to be big enough word for it. Yeah. Those are the really big reasons that I have wanted to do a through hike of the I was about to call it the PTSD, that I really wanted to hike the PCT. There are a couple other reasons. Like I wanted to. I've been kind of a hermit lately. I really wanted to meet some new people and make some new friends, be a part of the world again. There's a lot of other things, but those are really my big reasons. So, if you're looking to ask me why I'm doing this, that's why. Yellow flowers on the trail side make me happy and full of glee, while I hiked just for hours on the grand old PCT.